Hey everyone, it's Shannon with Visit Great Falls inside the Blue Room here at the Newberry in downtown Great Falls. We got great concerts happening throughout the summer put on by the Newberry and others here in Great Falls. And we're talking with one Nashville recording artist who just played here in Great Falls, Cody Cozz. Hey Cody, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we were so glad to have you in Great Falls. You kicked off the Downtown Summer Jam series. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's get to know you a little bit more. You're a Colorado guy.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your music, how you went from Pueblo to Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of started in 2020 during COVID. And long story short, I was playing college football and I was dating a gal for quite a few years in college. And all of that just ended a couple months apart from each other. So I started writing songs about that while the lockdowns and everything were happening and started just posting them online. And lo and behold, through a lot of prayer and a lot of recognition on those things, I ended up getting my first gig ever at an Italian restaurant, which was June 5th of 2020. And then a couple years after that, word had spread throughout Colorado that I was doing pretty good, and I started growing a following from social media and started getting asked to play a lot bigger concert venues, especially probably where I wasn't necessarily ready as far as an entertainer goes, but the big artists were not touring and they weren't playing. And
Oh.
so then at some point, they were starving too. So what ended up happening for me is that I started getting these offers to open for those guys again, way before I was ready. But their connections were unparalleled, priceless things. And they really loved my sound, and one in particular, Craig Campbell, just thought I had the it factors of all that it takes to kind of make it. And he was willing to just say, hey, I think you should come out to Nashville and kind of start working with some of my colleagues and friends and, just see what happens. So I started doing that in, I want to say it was probably 2023 ish. And they just loved what I had going. And I ended up signing a record deal a few years ago with Grindstone Records and was with them for 2 years. And I left them last January, I guess, after my development deal contract was over. And so now I'm kind of pursuing it independently at the moment. And really, it couldn't be going better. I'm just enjoying it all, getting to see a lot of the world now from music. And it is pretty crazy sometimes when I think that just in the last few years how much my life has changed since I first started.
Yeah, it sounds like you can somewhat thank COVID for kind of that push to be like, hey, I don't feel ready for this, but you got the stage, which is what so many recording
Yes,
artists or hopeful recording artists could ever dream of, the opportunity
absolutely.
on stage before they feel ready.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean if it wasn't for that moment in time and just everything being shut down, it wouldn't have operated the way it did. And I know that because it's so rare now, having been in Nashville for the last few years. It is tremendously rare for a big artist to kind of open that door. And anyone that is in the music industry understands it's just hard to, almost the most impossible part is getting into the room, I call it, with the actual industry. And then you kind of learn just how to play the game and how to do it the right ways and maneuver the right ways without losing yourself in the process.
So you opened, kicked off our Downtown Summer Jam series here in Great Falls, which has been going on for a few years now. Really cool program, really cool outdoor concert experience at the corner of Central and Fifth here in downtown Great Falls. For anyone watching, definitely worth the drive, worth the trip to come to Great Falls. And Cody, you got to kick that off. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about your experience in Great Falls. I know at first it happens on a Wednesday night, so people are getting off work, kind of trickling in. But just to get to watch the reception of people to you as your concert went on was so cool. Tell us about your perspective on that.
Well, I think I've played so many shows that I really do hold myself to a high standard as an entertainer. I've come a long way as far as doing that. I've played so many shows where I've bombed completely and have learned over just trial and error what works and what doesn't. And kind of even what is the most important aspect is writing songs that give a concert feel. And I was a fan once too before all this. So I know what I'm looking for. as an audience member and what I would want to see. And I think that in today's TikTok social media world, that's a little bit lost. And so I do believe that people are still craving that. And like you were saying, on a Wednesday night, people are just getting off of work. They're kind of expecting a very upbeat type of thing. And so I've taken a lot of time to study that. And so I kind of go into the performances knowing at some point I'll get them. And I do play about an 80% original music show, 80, almost 85%. So there's a risk to that as well. Most people, as an up and coming artist, have no idea who I am and they don't know my songs. So my goal when I write songs is to get people to kind of lock into at least a beat enough that is like, oh, I can work with this. And then you hit them with, the typical boot scoot boogie or, things like that. But I've even designed those things to mean something to me as well. The cover songs I do, they're typically known by most of the audience. And so I don't need to announce who it's by. And, but they do have a meaning for me and have inspired my own music as well. So I try to keep everything as genuine and personal as possible. And you just hope for the best that the crowd will be receptive. It's not always that way. And, but the folks in Montana, Great Falls, were unbelievably welcoming for one and just vibed with what I had. And so I can't wait to come back and hopefully at the Newberry soon too.
Yeah, they I will say, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you, but they want to bring you here. So
Oh, beautiful.
when I was talking with them earlier, so hopefully we can bring you back onto the Newberry stage as well. Um, you also, did I hear right? I was talking to John, a member of
Yes,
your band, backstage as well, and he was saying you guys made it to the Sip and Dip, the legendary Mermaid Tiki Bar. Is that right?
we did. We did. And so unfortunately, we missed all the action that was going
Ah.
on. But so we didn't get to see any of that, but we did get there and it was a cool little vibe though. It really was.
Yeah, it's one of the, we always say that's kind of the place that people, a lot of the artists tend to go who've played here, tend to go hit up the Sip and Dip because it's legendary.
Okay.
Yeah, legendary. GQ magazine once named it the one bar worth like flying for. So
No
we
way.
we got that going for us. Yeah. So the Downtown Summer Jam stage, people who have come before you on that, like Lainey Wilson, performed on that stage and to my knowledge was told that her record had gone #1 right before she took the stage here
You're
in Great
kidding.
Falls. Yeah. So what is that like to be able to, I mean, you've already had a little bit of a
Yeah.
different career in how it started, but to be playing in these places where maybe people think like, oh, it's, small town Montana, but really it's the stage that has launched a lot of
Yeah.
careers. Yeah.
It's so crazy you say that. It's amazing to me how many times, believe it or not, throughout the country. It just happened to me in Texas. It just happened to me in North Dakota for my last show, and then obviously Montana, and then even in Colorado. That I've had promoters or people tell me that Lainey Wilson was here and she performed for this group, and I think what it shows me, to be honest, is that at some point the imposter syndrome has to go away. I
Mm.
think is what I've told people, and the gratefulness never does. But in order to kind of become what you need to as an artist, you do have to just willingly accept all that comes with that. And I think what it shows me to hear things like Lainey Wilson's stories or any artist really, especially as a new guy that is either an opener or sometimes you're playing a club that, you know, 5 people show up to your show and you still just give that performance that as if there was 1,000. And you just have to believe in yourself. And I think that it's encouraging when you hear a Lainey Wilson story like that because it just shows that you're following in the correct footsteps. You're maneuvering the right path to success. And I mean, she's the defending entertainer of the year,
Oh.
and so that's a huge compliment.
Well, that's next for you. That's what that says, right?
So, absolutely.
Yeah. So that is funny though that you mentioned that I brought up Lainey Wilson and you said that you've heard that in other places you've played.
Yeah.
Finally, I want to ask you about, so I got a chance to talk with you a little bit backstage and just hear a little bit about your heart and your passion and kind of growing, shaping perspective of as you grow
Yes.
in your career. who you're doing that for or the people in the audience who you are having an impact on, specifically kids. Talk to me just a little bit about your hope for kind of the feel that you give people or the interactions that you have with people, what you want to leave them with when they come to your performances or interact with you.
Absolutely. I think, I've said this before, there's enough artists out there that, and there's a place for it. So like, I don't mean to like knock that at all, but, I'm just not the guy that's going to cuss on stage and, flip the cameras off and sing about, I don't know what happened, to be honest, where, even though it is a part of life and it needs to be written about and things like that. I think we've transitioned that outlaw country to kind of just giving a pass to being a terrible human being and living a poor lifestyle. So, I don't know where we draw the line of talking about and singing about, drugs and just poor decision making. I think for me, I am very open about my faith, and that's the things that get me through hard times. And not that, again, there's a problem with any other avenue of it. It's just not me. And I've gotten to be very in tune with my audiences, which have a very drastic range of ages, from young kids to very older people and everything in between. And so, I don't particularly sing about stuff like that. I do my best to not write songs like that, because I know kids are listening, and I know that the older audience values that I talk about my faith in this crazy world that we live in. And so I think for me, it's just become a lot bigger than music. And I know that the songs that I write are going to help people along the way. And I deal with a lot of sick kids as well. I've gotten to do a lot of charitable events for like St. Jude and Children's Hospital in particular, and Make-A-Wish Foundation. And when you get a chance to see kind of these young kids who are really going through life's trials and tribulations, it just changes your perspective on life, at least for me. And so I've very much gone home after experiences like that and called my mom or told my mom that this is what my purpose is. It's not being this famous guy. It's never what I wanted to do. And I hope that when I'm on stage, that's what people take away, is that who this guy is on stage is exactly who he is off stage.
So, lastly, where can people find you? How can they follow you, find your music, all of that?
Yeah, you can find me on all the things, all Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. All my things are at Cody Cozz Music, Cozz.
Fantastic. Well, Cody, thanks so much for taking time while you're on tour. We appreciate it. We loved having you here in Great Falls, and hopefully we'll see you back here soon.
Absolutely, I would love to.